This is my family. I have 5.
And a dog.
And a dog. Hi, today I am going to present about how I would like to become a group home director. First, I'd like to start with what actually is a group home director. A group home director is a person who manages anywhere from 1 to a small number, typically about 3 or 4, group homes for adults with developmental disabilities. People with developmental disabilities have any cognitive impairment, they could have a physical impairment, or any way that does not allow them to become a fully functioning member of society. So what would I be doing as a program director? I would be working one-on-one with the developmentally disabled clients. I would also be creating programs for clients to assist in their life. So for example, I have a current client whom one of her programs is how to make the bed. Every week we have to help her make her bed and we have to show her how to make her bed. That is a program that we have to document and show that we have worked on. I would also be budgeting expenses for the house such as food, electricity, internet, anything else such as that. I would also be budgeting the client's living expenses for they have to pay rent and they have to pay utilities just as any other person would in a home, and also their extra spending cash for things that they want to do, and for them also to be able to save. Recently I had a client who decided that she wanted to take a trip, and it was really cool because we got her to save. It took us a while, but we got her to save enough to be able to go to the Kalahari in Wisconsin Dells. And finally, another big one would be I would hire and train new employees that would come and work directly one-on-one with the clients. So who is a good fit for this position? A person who works for this position, they need to work well with others, but they don't need to work well with just anyone. They need to be able to work well with a lot of people and people who may have a different ability to function. They also have to be able to work well with people who may not everyday work, who may not be able to communicate the same as them. They also need to have the ability to listen to people and be trustworthy. If you disappoint someone because you say you're going to take them to the movies and then you back off on your word just because you don't want to go, that's really hard on a trust, and that's really hard on the ability to communicate and to connect with your client. So that's important. And you should have experience in working with people with developmental disabilities. Typically, to start in this position, you work as somebody called the direct support professional, or a DSP. You are directly caring for this person. You're the one who's going to be doing a lot of the household chores. You'll be doing a lot of the personal care tasks for our clients, and you would be doing a lot of the shopping. You also should be able to lead a group, especially during stressful times, because we work with people every day, which means there are going to be illnesses, there are going to be deaths, there are going to be behaviors that could be violent or that could manifest over a long period of time. So that means that you need to be able to work well with those who, you need to be able to work well with your group and be able to support them during those stressful times. So some general information about how you get into this career and who would be a good fit. You should have a degree in the human studies related field. Personally, I have a degree, my individualized studies degree, but it's education, so it works in the human studies. Other common degrees are human services, social work, psychology, sociology, basically anything where you're really working on the development and study of humans. A person who will work in the office setting, they'll work in the office for most of the days, but sometimes you may need to take a client to a place like the doctor, or they may have an appointment somewhere and you need to transport them. And if they're unable to transport without assistance, you may need to lift them to be able to get them into their wheelchair, or you may just need to help them up the stairs. You might be moving around a lot, especially with interacting with clients. You might have to work on some household daily chores, just things that other staff can't do while they are currently working with the clients, because you can't really wash windows while you have 4 people needing something. And you should be willing to also spend a little extra time outside of your work during your scheduled time to be able to go to certain events. I have a client who plays floor hockey. I love going to her games. I try to make as many as I could. And I made a couple extra that wasn't in my scheduled time, and I really enjoyed it. So the outlook of employment, hiring practices are normally within a company. This means that typically when you look for a job, you're going to be looking at the same company, working within that company. You're going to start out at the low end and work your way up. A person typically does not get hired without experience and knowledge of group homes. This is very normal for this kind of work. You can't really go into an accounting job and become an accountant overnight. Same with this. You can't go into a home and think that you're ready to be working with people with developmental disabilities every day. The average salary in Minnesota is $64,410 annually. It's a little bit less than the United States. It's about $62,000 for the national average, but Minnesota is good. And the growth in Minnesota is 17%, same national average, just a little bit lower. It's about 14%. You can be promoted in this position. You might be up pretty high, but you can be promoted to many things. An executive director that might look over an entire district area, which is probably about 10 homes. You can work on the board. Otherwise, if you choose not to and you just want the higher recognition and maybe not as much of a pay raise, you can take on more roles. There are a lot of committees that are going to be used. Committees that help clients advocate. There are committees that work on the safety, that work on many things. You can be a head of a committee, or you can start spearheading stuff like that. And for me, I could not find a lot of job listings because hiring is typically, like I said, it's an internal process. I currently work for Mount Olivet, and right now they have over 10 years, a 28% retention rate, and over 20 years it was a 10%, I think, retention rate, which is pretty good considering this field. So, like they say, they like you to move up. They like you to be able to work in the same company because then you know the policies, you know the clientele, you know who you're working with. So while I was doing my paper, I had to research a lot, and some interesting things I found during my paper. I found that the salary, it was higher than I expected. It was a little bit higher. It was, instead of, I thought it'd be like in the mid-50s, it was closer to the 60s, which was good. The hiring practices, I thought there'd be more opportunities for me to switch jobs. Oh, lovely. 1 second. We're back. So I thought it'd be easier to like switch companies even. Apparently not. It's much easier to start in the company that you work with and then move your way up. I'm sure that there are other ways to move, but I see it more as a move up, not a lateral move to a different company. And how much growth there is. I didn't realize how much I would be able to, how many opportunities I would have to be able to grow and actually be able to stay with this position. I thought maybe I'd have a hard time finding a job. So my final thoughts, I would like to pursue this career. The reason being, and this is a quote from my paper, a reason being is, while this career choice is good for some, it may not be suitable for all. To start, a person needs to be good around people, but not just fully functioning people. These clients are typically special adults that mentally have good days and bad days. Adults that may not have a way to speak other than using language board, pointing, or in some cases they scream, because that is the only way they know how to get someone's attention. Clients may show their affection by hugging, giving a high five. I have a client that gives a background, or just by smiling at you, knowing that they're having a good day. These adults that a person supports as a director of group homes, you are going to be working with developmentally disabled adults in some shape or form. This means the house can be full of young adults who are verbal. They enjoy going on outings daily. They have families who they go home to on the weekends. Or it could mean that you have some older adults who are nonverbal. Their behaviors could be violent. They could be harming themselves or others. They have many medical needs, and they may not have much family, so you're working with them 24/7. They don't really have a place to go. To be able to work and enjoy the company of such a person takes a very unique individual. So thank you everyone for listening to my presentation. I hope you learned a little bit more about being a director of a group home, and you have a great day.